For Aubameyang, there were contacts between Chelsea and Barcelona during the weekend. And for Frankie de Jong, it's always the same since May. He's waiting. He's still on the same position. He's still convinced to stay at Barcelona. And so let's see if he changes his mind. Man United will be there together with Chelsea because Chelsea are strong in the race too. But as of now, Frankie is still convinced about staying at Barcelona.
Yeah, of course. A few reports that Ten Hag would be confident of beating Chelsea if De Jong does come to the Premier League. Do you think that's the case?
I'm not so sure, honestly. I'm not so sure. From what I'm told, at the moment, the only message from Frankie de Jong is that he wants to continue at Barcelona. It's not that he wants to pick one club or another. So at the moment, I'm not so sure that Frankie is already decided for Man United or for Chelsea. From what I'm told, the player is still telling his agents and to Barcelona and to all the clubs approaching him that he wants to continue there. So in the moment he would change his mind, maybe it could change. But as of now, he's still focusing on Barca. I'm not so sure that it's only Man United for Frankie de Jong.
Of course. In terms of attacking additions, Cody Gakpo, Ziyech at Chelsea have been mentioned quite a lot. Are they potential sort of wider rivals, do you think?
Yes, Ziyech is a player super appreciated by Erik ten Hag, but at the moment there are no negotiations taking place between Man United and Chelsea. It's not something that is ongoing right now. So let's see, maybe it could be an opportunity because Ziyech is not part of the project at Chelsea. He's one of the players they consider available on the market. So as of now, there is nothing part of the appreciation of the manager, but let's see what happens. And for Cody Gakpo, it's a bit different because for Cody Gakpo, there is an internal discussion at Manchester United. They spoke to Erik ten Hag about this possibility. He's another player that he appreciates. He's doing great in Eredivisie. He's an important player for PSV, and so they're trying to understand how much would be the price tag for Cody Gakpo, but he's one of the players that they have in the list. Top of the list in the winger position has always been Antony, but at the moment it's really complicated. I don't see Ajax selling the player for less than 85, 90 million euros with some add-ons, and so it's a really tough one, complicated one. And for Cody Gakpo, it's different. The price tag is completely different too. The player would be attracted by Premier League move, and so this is why for Man United is one of the options they are considering internally.
Yeah, of course. And then striker is the other position. They've been linked with Morata, Icardi, Kalajdzic. Are these potential options for them?
All these players are players that have been offered to Man United, and I think it's normal for agents to work like this. After they wanted Marko Arnautovic, then the deal collapsed, so now they are on the market for a striker, but at the moment still nothing decided. All these players have different situations. For example, Alvaro Morata, I'm told that the player would be attracted by Premier League move, but at the same point, for Atletico Madrid, he's an important player this season. Juventus wanted him, and they had no chance to reach an agreement with Atletico, so it's not going to be an easy negotiation. And same for many other players offered to Man United. For Mauro Icardi, PSG are desperate to find a solution. They don't trust him for the future of the club, and so they're trying to offer him everywhere, but at the moment there is nothing advanced with United. Raúl de Tomás is another player that's been offered to Manchester United. So they have many options on the table, but it's up to them now to decide because many agents are proposing players, but still nothing advanced.
Yeah, I know we've spoken about Wan-Bissaka before, but United still being linked to right back, to Juranovic at Celtic, Walker Peters at Southampton. Do you think these guys are on their list?
Yes, he's one of the players that they have in the list. The top priority has always been Denzel Dumfries, who is doing great with Inter. He scored a key goal during the weekend, and Inter manager Inzaghi was pretty clear in repeating that he really wants the player to stay, to be part of the project, and same for Milan Skriniar. So I think it's not going to be an easy negotiation. And this is why Walker Peters is one of the names they are considering at Chelsea. But at the same point, I'm sure that the priorities now for Todd Bowley, for Thomas Tuchel, are the centre-back and the centre-striker. These are the two positions that they want to cover, also because they extended the contract of Azpilicueta. So it's not something usually needed now, the new right-back, and the priority is centre-back and centre-striker.
In terms of Chelsea, Casadei, Anthony Gordon, Aubameyang, are these the sort of main targets they're looking at right now?
Yes, for Gordon, they made an opening proposal. It was rejected by Everton, £40 million, but Chelsea are discussing internally, Todd Bowley and, of course, Thomas Tuchel, if they want to make another proposal, maybe including some players or not. So there are discussions now ongoing about Gordon, and on player side, there will be no problem. But it's also true that Everton will fight to keep the player. They would love to keep him for one more season and maybe sell him next summer for a different price. So at the moment for Gordon, this is the situation. For Aubameyang, there were contacts between Chelsea and Barcelona during the weekend, also on Sunday, through intermediaries, discussing about the conditions of the deal. I'm told at the moment there is still no bid from Barcelona, but they are from Chelsea, but they are exploring this possibility by understanding the conditions. So like the salary and of course the price tag. Barcelona want around 30 million euros for Aubameyang. He's an important player for them. Xavi would love to keep him as they need a backup striker for Lewandowski. And so this is why it's not an easy negotiation, but I'm sure that Thomas Tuchel is a big fan of Aubameyang, and they will try this week to approach Barca again and to find a way for Aubameyang. So he's one of the priority targets for Chelsea right now.
Yeah, Newcastle have been linked with Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi at Chelsea. Do you think these players could leave for Premier League clubs?
I think one of them, yes. Hudson-Odoi will leave. From what I'm told, he has some chances to go on loan, and so there are some possibilities. Southampton wanted him, but at the moment the player is not so convinced, and so this is why there are other options. Let's see if Newcastle will decide to go for it or not. And discussing about other opportunities for Pulisic, I think it's a bit different, because Newcastle have been interested also in June, end of June, beginning of July, and from Chelsea it was a no. And before selling all these players, I think Chelsea will need to make sure that they can sign some player in that positions, new striker, maybe new winger. And so this is why for Hudson-Odoi, it's a yes. For Pulisic, it depends, because we're speaking about many players: Lukaku, Werner, Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic. So they need to decide what they want to do before giving the green light to Pulisic too. So at the moment, for Hudson-Odoi, it's a yes. For Pulisic, is a player that Thomas Tuchel trusts.
Yeah, and on Arsenal, quick line on them. Yeremy Pino, is he the most likely winger option for them at the moment?
But they are one of many clubs that are following him since a long time. He's doing great with Villarreal. At the moment, there is still no bid or nothing advanced for Pino, but I wouldn't be surprised if he could be one of the names in the last few weeks of the transfer window, because he's a really top player and many Premier League clubs approach his agents. He has English agents with Stellar. It's a strong group in the Premier League, and so it's normal to have this kind of links and this kind of approaches. But as of now, we have to wait a bit, I think, to understand the situation of Yeremy Pino, also because he's an important player for Villarreal, and I think that the rumors of 35 million, 40 million are not so correct. I think Villarreal want way more than this to sell Yeremy Pino this summer.
Yeah, I know you said it might be a busy week for West Ham. Thilo Kehrer, do you see him as sort of their top defensive target at the moment?
He's the top defensive target, yes. They are in a race with Sevilla to sign him, because also Sevilla need to sign a new centre-back, but he's one of the players that they are following. But for West Ham, it's a priority. They are in discussions with Paris Saint-Germain. PSG want to sell him as soon as possible. They always wanted around 20 million for Kehrer. West Ham are offering less than this, but there is a negotiation ongoing, and the player would be keen on a Premier League move. So let's see what happens with Kehrer, and of course for West Ham, because they need a centre-back.
Yeah, and do we know how many signings Moyes wants for the rest of the transfer window?
I think it always depends on the opportunities, but I won't be surprised if it would be like Q3 signings, as we mentioned. Kehrer, maybe a left back with Emerson Palmieri, one of the players in the list. So they have some options, but I think Q3 signings could be the right number for West Ham.
Yeah, and it's finally on Leeds. Do they have to step up their striker search at the moment? I know they've been linked with Gnonto, Terrier, Watkins, Che Adams, Brozier. Are these the sorts of players you would expect to be on Leeds' list?
For Che Adams, I think the most likely destination is Everton. They're really interested. And for Leeds, they are exploring some options, but they want to make sure that it's the right opportunity. They don't want to waste money. They trust the players they have. And so they're looking at the market with some opportunities. Among the names you mentioned, the most interesting one is Willy Gnonto, this Italian talent who is doing great also with the national team with Roberto Mancini. And they like him, but it's not easy to negotiate with Zurich, because it was already complicated for Dutch clubs who approached Zurich in the last few weeks. And so Leeds are on it, they're interested, but it's not something close to be completed yet.